wish to create a perfect human being, selecting the best organs from different corpses. Nosferatu, the medieval vampire in the remote regions of Transylvania.
5 innocent people killed, not a sign of a human.
It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. In all cases, the killers are eating flesh. The people they murder, victims, show evidence of having been partially devoured by their murderers. A ghoul can be killed by a shot in the head or a heavy blow to the skull. A ghoul can be killed by a shot in the head or a heavy blow to the skull.
Why hello. Welcome to an episode of Answers to the Unknown. I'm your host, John. So this show, we're just going to talk about many different questions that people have about supernatural and paranormal things. Things that they may not have gotten the answers to, or merely have just been too afraid to ask. So I've pretty much compiled a book of answers from my years of experience to kind of help everybody out. And one of the biggest questions that I've always been asked, and you might want to pay attention to this if you have children of your own at home, is kids and ghosts. So here, see what the old book has to say. Why are kids so susceptible to the paranormal? It's a very good question. See, in their mind, everything is still a possibility. They haven't been told that doesn't exist. They haven't been told, not to believe in those type of things. Their brain is still just so open to everything. It's like when you see a kid on a skateboard in a skate park, and after he watches a video of somebody doing a trick, he goes out there and tries it, which is absolutely no fear. Well, that's because they don't have the fear. They don't know the consequence. Us as adults, when we go try that now, we're thinking right off the bat, what could go wrong? We second guess everything we're doing, and therefore we don't just give it our all. Same thing goes with witnessing with the paranormal. Their brains are still just so open to that stuff that they're drawn in more than adults would be. They haven't had that chance to, be told what they're witnessing isn't real. So therefore they think it's all real, which very well could be. Their mind is still fresh and learning, so it's still soaking in so much. It's like not knowing right from wrong. They don't know real and fake, so to say. My kids have done it all the time. I've seen my kid watch something on YouTube that he thinks was real. I'm like, no, that's fake, buddy. It's not real. It's just, they don't know. They can't decipher the two yet. They think things are imaginary. Us as adults, we have it drilled into our head that the paranormal just isn't real. Therefore, most do not believe. We get the select few of us who have witnessed enough in life to have our perspective not change, but we still do have our adult mindset, which still kind of blocks us from taking in a lot. Certain people have their wall down a lot more than us, but others still have it up, quite high. So that's another reason why adults just don't really pay attention to that type of thing, We believe too much in science. Science, and TV, a lot of that really helps with putting that wall up in in our adult life. Those things have been there forever. Our parents telling us, those things aren't real. this, that, and the other thing. That's just all things that have put a damper on our mind, and that's why we just don't witness it like that. I mean, we believe in God without any true, solid, visual proof. I mean, the same thing is for supernatural stuff. I mean, we've had more of the proof, and honestly, to find proof in the supernatural is pretty much to find proof in God, because that's showing that there is life after death. There is something else, and we all know that not everybody does go into heaven. If you don't take that journey, you're not going to go. You're not going to cross over. You're going to stay here. You know. So that's my whole thing. You can't believe in one thing and discredit the other. If you're going to believe in God, you need to believe in the paranormal. If you're going to believe in the paranormal, you need to believe in God. It all goes hand in hand. All ties it together. You know, so honestly, finding proof of spirits, we kind of find proof of the possibility of God in heaven. That's how I look at it. Smaller kids, like infants, they have what's known as the second sight. So their second sight is a lot stronger than ours as adults. Once again, we have put that wall up that has weakened our second sight, but you can awaken it. Even as an adult, it's how you got to control your mind. A lot of meditating, kind of opening up yourself to certain things. You can reawaken that second sight. Kids just haven't, they haven't had a chance for it to dwindle away, and that's the one thing that makes them so open, is that it's just there. And you know what, a spirit's gonna know that. That's why you'll see a kid, like sometimes it's creepy, you'll see a baby when you know that they should just be focusing on you because you're right there in front of them, but they're not. They're looking, maybe everywhere else, and you're looking at the baby like, wait a minute, why is the baby not looking at me? It's looking everywhere else, but it's a little baby, so it's not saying anything. You're thinking, maybe it just sees something weird. No, it's seeing something, and that's why it's doing that, because it's witnessing something, and that's something you need to pay attention to as well. It's like your little red flag. It's like a dog. You see your dog sitting there staring at something, most likely they're seeing something. They have that sense that we don't have, and that's why I always pay attention to pets. And I tell people anytime I've gone to a place where they, their house they think is haunted, and they have the dog or children, I say, well, how do they act? Pay attention to them, because they're going to be your biggest indicator that you have something actually going on within your house. Another question is, can ghosts attach to children easier than adults? Honestly, I think yes. Mainly because we already know that they're sensitive to the paranormal. It is easier for a spirit to attach to a child. That's why. Their sensitivity is so sensitive that, once again, spirits will sense that and they will go to that. Because they think that's the way they can communicate with somebody, try to kind of get back into the real world, so to say. They're going to go towards that. They're not going to go towards somebody who is kind of blocked out, whatever they think is going on. It's not going to happen. They're a big target, especially if they can unknowingly do things like astral project. So for those of you who don't know what astral projection is, it's kind of it's a way of your soul leaving your body to walk the spirit realm. If anybody's ever seen Insidious, that's exactly pretty much what the young boy was doing. He was astral projecting into the spirit realm, which looks exactly like where you're at. If you're in your home, it's gonna look like it's in your home. You're gonna be in your home, and as a child, you're gonna think it's a dream. Hell, even as an adult, you're gonna think you're just dreaming. But you're not. You're actually, your soul left your body, so now your body's sitting there soulless, so to say. Now there's a tether, spiritual tether, that connects you still to your soul to your body, and that's how you're going to find your way back. But the longer you're out there, the closer other spirits are getting, because they know that you're not truly dead. So they know that there's a body that's laying there, up for grabs, pretty much. And once a spirit can get into there, good luck trying to get the spirit out. So yes, it's almost like ghost possession, which ghosts can possess people. that's basically what can happen. You know, if they're unknowingly doing that, you know, they're gonna get attached to something. Something's gonna attach to them, and it's gonna get closer and closer to them until it tries to take their body over. So yeah, that's definitely something scary if that happens. This increases, you know, the chance for an attachment because of the fact that they're more out there. They're in the little spirit world. The spirits know about it. Now they're really intrigued and coming towards you. So now they're going to pretty much spend their time trying to come to you for answers or to communicate to you, or even simply just say they want to get back out into living. So now they're going to get into a body, and hey, especially if you're a small child, now it's like hitting a restart button. So you have the same soul in a whole different body, but you kind of still have all that memory. Your memory doesn't get wiped until you cross over into heaven or hell. That's when your memory of your past life completely vanishes. But as long as you're still here, you still remember your past life. That's where you get angry spirits, vengeful spirits, sad spirits, woman of white, because you still remember things. So yeah, now you're getting a restart button from a little kid. You're starting over anew. So that's also freaky, which can also lead people into the whole like reincarnation thing, where they remember, you know, certain things from a past life. It technically might not be that. It could be maybe a spirit took over and just knows these things now. You see, they may also think that because they're dreaming, they're gonna want to have it more, especially if it doesn't scare them. Like I remember as a kid, I would have certain dreams that just seemed awesome to me that I'd want to keep having. So now imagine if you're a kid and maybe you do go into the other world and it's in your home, but it's not scary. You know, there's maybe not many spirits around, or you don't really witness anything. To you, it's just, oh, hey, you know, I'm walking in my own house and I don't know, things are cool. Maybe you go in, you sit down, you watch TV like you normally would. Like I don't really know how that whole side of the world works because I've never been able to astral project. But my thought being is, hey, maybe what if the kid just wakes up, thinks he's waking up in the middle of the night, gets a bowl of cereal, sits down, you know, thinking like whatever. You don't know, you know. So the more that happens, the more they're gonna want to do that. And once again, like I said, I'm gonna say it a lot in this because it's so true, and I'm hoping by saying it more, you as an adult will start kind of thinking and changing your mindset. But we have that barrier up, and that prevents us from understanding and really witnessing a lot as well. The more you break that barrier down, the more you're going to witness, the more you're going to be, your mind's going to open to certain situations and the things that can happen. Another question is, how do I know if a ghost, or if it's a ghost, or if it's just an imaginary friend? Now that is a very good question, because a lot of times you'll hear a kid talking and first thing you think of is, oh, cute, they got an imaginary friend. If that ever happens, if you ever start hearing your kid really conversating with something, or you hear it sounds like they're talking to somebody, ask them about it. Ask them the details. What does the friend look like? Most of the time, you know, you can tell the difference between an imaginary friend and a spirit. You just gotta ask the right questions. You gotta ask them to describe it. Most kids, if they have an imaginary friend, it's gonna be a pretty crazy answer. It's gonna be like, hey, this is Philip or Bing Bong or whatever the heck his name is. He looks like an elephant with some craziness. They're going to describe it to be just a weird type of imaginary friend. It's a unicorn that, spits out cupcakes and it shoots rainbows from its horn type of thing and flies. It's things like that are like kids' imaginary friends. But now if you ask that same question, they say it's a little bit more like, they describe a tall man or a woman, kind of normal clothing, different type of clothing, maybe bloody, maybe kind of just looking as too into detail of something that should not be an imaginary friend. I'm going to say they're talking to a spirit. They're not talking to something they made up in their head. That's usually from experience what the case may be. Yet to ever hear of a kid making up an imaginary friend that was sounding like a normal person. Like I said, usually they tend to make imaginary friends up into literally anything they want, all types of crazy stuff. I mean, geez, I remember when I was a kid, I had an imaginary friend that I just kind of created, and it definitely wasn't human-y like. It was just some odd little thing, and I think I based it off of a couple of different characters that I had liked from a cartoon show growing up. But that's just what kids do, you know. So to have them actually sitting there and describing an actual person that they'd be talking to, that's a red flag, and that's what you want to pay attention to. You know, maybe they see like a pale face, or they look pale with blue lips or something like that, or they're describing what, you know, maybe a corpse would look like. Once again, red flag. Pay attention to things like that. You know, that's what's gonna help you determine what's different between an imaginary friend and something real. That's supernatural. Then I would definitely look, you know, I'd look into the name. I'd look into, you know, maybe any descriptions, any public records, and see if you can find out maybe who they could possibly be talking to. Usually, you know, if you move to a new house, maybe it's somebody who had owned the house years ago. You know, I'd always start there, and then I'd start moving into maybe town records, even looking into like certain cemeteries around town, maybe just trying to find who that person could be that your child is talking to. Another question. Well, actually, my last little advice for you guys is always listen to your kids. Just like paying attention to your pets, always listen to your kids. Alright? They are very honest when it comes to a lot, as parents know. Listen to them, okay? They're gonna tell you. They're gonna give you hints and clues, and just try not to be so closed-minded with it, alright? Another question is there a way to prevent this from happening? Yes and no. You know, up until they can really understand you and they can kind of communicate, there isn't really much you can do. I mean, you can try to tell it to them, but if they're not understanding what you're saying, it's not going to stick. But once they get to the age of comprehension, you know, probably like 3 years old, you can start telling them things like, you know, not fake, not real. You can start there, just trying to drill that into their head. And that's going to prevent a lot, because then they're going to start thinking that same way, and you're going to put that wall up, which I've told you to not put up. But you're going to put that wall up, and it's going to prevent a lot of things from happening. It's going to keep them from being so susceptible. But that would also, you know, you can also ignore the happenings, but they're still going to happen, and you as an adult could ignore it, but that doesn't mean that the child is going to ignore it, which is still going to create the opening, the possibility of them, you know, getting attached to something, or something just being within your home now because it wants to try to communicate or just be there. So once again, if you feed into it, you know, it loses. If you don't feed into it, it loses a lot of strength. The more you feed into something, it's gonna grow the power. It's gonna get the energy. So if you just don't feed into it, you know, like when I tell people, like, oh man, like what would you do if something flew off the table? Like, I'd pick it up, put it back, and act like nothing happened. Mainly because I'm not gonna feed into it. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, like what was that? And like trying to like bug out. No. On an investigation, sure. In my own home, nope. I'm gonna literally just ignore it, and I'm just gonna keep moving on with life, because the more you feed into it, the more power it gets. You don't want that. Nobody ever wants that. So, like I said, my advice is to open up and listen. If something ever does, you know what I mean. It's really the biggest thing, guys. Open up, listen, be there, pay attention. That's it. Another question is, what should I do if my kid is talking to ghosts? Well, you can call a professional team to investigate, but just with that, guys, do your research, all right? Some teams are great, but there's also a lot of teams out there, man, that just, they put a team together and they're out doing things, but really they don't know up and down, left and right. So really do your research. You know, try to look for groups that have a lot of good reviews, that have a lot of people that have been talking about how great they are, things like that. Don't ever just jump into the first group you see, all right? You don't want to end up with a far worse situation on your hand. Most of the time, the spirits are trying to tell you something. It's, you know, if they're here for a reason. It's either they didn't want to cross over themselves, or they just still haven't figured it out, or there's something they want to say. You know, maybe they died away in a really horrible way and they're trying to get it out there. They just want to communicate, and that's usually going to help with them crossing over. So keep that in mind. You know, as scary as it may be sometimes, you might just have to face this thing and simply listen. Ask it, you know, what's your name? Why are you here? You know, did something bad happen to you? Is there anything I can do to help it? You know, literally just try to listen to it. If you listen, you can find out what they want and you can help them, you know, try to reach peace. So now you don't 100% need a investigation team. You know, if you feel confident enough to, you know, do things on your own, you feel like you have a good understanding of the spirit world, then go for it. Just know, you know, like with anything, things could always bounce back and not always work out to how you think they're going to work out, but go ahead, give it a shot. You know, just understand to truly connect with them and communicate, you need to open yourself up. I do it all the time. Anytime I go out on an investigation, I do like a meditation time. I kind of become one with where I'm at in my surroundings. One thing that I've done in the past that I like to do now is I'll go maybe into a room, off shooting room, kind of just by myself, not far from the group, but just, you know, in there, and I sit in the dark and just breathe deep and just take in the surroundings and really just put myself, my body, my energy in to the situation, into the building, into the atmosphere. And when you do that, you'll find out that, dude, the results you're getting so many things now trying to come and communicate with you. And that's honestly one of the best ways to do it. You're putting yourself with them. Also, you must, you must be ready to come face to face with some scary stuff sometimes. Not every spirit is going to be the nicest. Not every spirit is going to visually, if you can visually see it, maybe be the most appealing. So just understand that. But you need to stand your ground. You need to still be there and still listen, because they're probably not going to hurt you. But if it does come off as an evil, dark type of energy, I suppose you stop doing what you're doing. You know, seek a professional. Definitely at that point, professional team, priest, demonologist, somebody who can help you out. It doesn't necessarily mean you're having a demon situation, but they also specialize in evil spirits as well. It's not just, you know, demons and such. But that's all I can recommend for you guys. So that seems like some pretty good advice, if you ask me. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Next week, see what we got going on as we dive further into the book of answers. Have a good night.